Liam, you're on mute there. The joys of Zoom.
Okay, what about now? You hear me okay? Okay, perfect. Apologies. Thanks, Maria. So as Maria said, I'm the other co-founder of SustainIQ, and just a bit of a brief intro to us and who we are before we get into the webinar. I've worked in construction and in sustainability now for nearly 18 years, and I suppose my biggest challenge throughout that whole time has been trying to get access to sustainability ESG related data. And I've needed that data for reporting, be it to regulators or to clients and contracts. And it's always been really, really difficult to get. And I always felt there should be an easier way to do it. And I suppose as the years rolled on, it became evident that actually tech was the solution, that there had to be some sort of digital solution to help organizations improve how they monitor and report on sustainability. And I suppose that's where SustainIQ was born out of, the need to provide organizations with a software solution that helped them improve how they measured, monitored, and reported on their social, environmental, and economic performance. But actually more than that, we wanted to provide a solution that provided really intelligent data that actually our customers could then use in the boardrooms to inform their sustainability strategies, their ESG strategies, and ultimately help drive their business forward. And so thankfully, that's what we're now seeing. We're seeing our customers, and Aislinn's with us today to give us a bit of a real life example of that. We're starting to see our customers use that information to really drive their businesses forward. So I'll come back to a little bit more about SustainIQ later. But right now, I want to just take a look at ESG as it's becoming fastly known as sustainability performance. I want to take a look at that in Ireland at the minute and how it's impacting public procurement, because I think all of us today have seen over recent times, even though it's been there for quite a while, it's now starting to really bite, and we're now starting to see more of an impact, particularly in contracts and so on. So I think it's important that we understand where we're at, but where we're heading, and ultimately what we now need to do to get ready for that. So in terms of a bit of an overview there, Ireland, the public procurement accounts for around 12% of GDP in Ireland, and that relates to around 15 billion of investment by the state each year. That's a huge opportunity for supply chains out there to get a slice of that action. Sustainability and ESG is now very much wrapped up within those procurement contracts, and so the more you can do to sort of showcase your sustainability credentials, you increase your competitiveness, particularly in the whole tendering piece for those public sector contracts. But the Irish government need to be able to demonstrate that 15 billion invested, that 15 billion euro invested, actually translates to a much bigger societal and environmental impact, and they need to be able to report back and show every value for every euro spent. And for them to do that, they need data from us, their supply chain. They need to be able to know the impact that these projects and these contracts are having, so that they can use that information and that data to then show the impact that they're having across the country through their procurement choices. So the Green Public Procurement is really a suite of instruments that encourages the public authorities to use their purchasing power to choose more environmentally friendly products and services that are going to have a more beneficial societal impact. And we are now starting to see that bed in a lot more. Ireland has obviously set very ambitious targets, as have most countries now at this stage, around net zero targets in particular for 2050. We're now starting to see that feed through in terms of certainly the conversations that we're having in all of our businesses around becoming and working towards net zero. So the Green Public Procurement is very much driving that agenda. And as these requirements are then extended across public procurement, we are now starting to see sustainable practices, particularly in construction, start to evolve, and sustainability becoming much more of day-to-day sort of requirement, and particularly around the reporting as well. There is a bit of pressure at the minute. Ireland is behind in terms of the reporting, and there are fines in place. So I know in the last 20 years working in this field, I've never known a conversation to move at such a rapid pace as the conversation around net zero emissions. So we all feel a bit of pressure now to get up to speed and get the processes and procedures in place that we need to have in place in order to deliver on those commitments. So I just want to take a quick look at some of the key drivers that are really pushing the GPP agenda and sustainability and ESG up corporate agendas as well. Certainly they're becoming more integral, but The reason for that is, one of the big reasons for that is really around expectations. We're certainly seeing clients, your customers, are a lot more aware, and they want to make sure that they've got responsible supply chains in place. So they're very much working ESG clauses into contracts, be them supply chain contracts or public sector contracts. And we're seeing them more and more in private-led developments as well. So if you want to work for these customers and these clients, you need to be able to deliver on their requirements. We're starting to see big more expectations coming from staff. They want to work for companies that are more aligned with their own vision and values. They want to make sure they're working for a company that's aware of their environmental and societal impact. So again, if you want to attract new talent in the organization, there's an expectation now that you're going to start operating as a more responsible business. Certainly supply chains want to work for more responsible contractors in particular, that have fair payment policies in place and all of those things. And there's a growing public awareness. Again, back to construction, when a contractor moves on site and into a new community to build a new hospital or a new school, there is an expectation that that contractor is going to work with the local community to minimize the impact of the project and maximize the positive impact through the project, through community initiatives and apprenticeship and placement opportunities for local employment and so on as well. There's also the national and international drivers driving this up the agenda. So, we've got the Paris Agreement, which is driving a lot of it, particularly around the net zero emissions conversation. Obviously, locally in Ireland, we've got the Green Public Procurement, but then out of that, we're getting the Climate Action Plan. We're seeing the Waste Action Plan for Circular Economy coming through, and the Nearly Energy Zero Building Standard, NZEB, which have been around again for a while. But with this whole conversation around net zero, it's all been drove forward through the building regs. The UN Sustainability Development Goals, again, have been around for a while, but they've really went up the agenda. A lot of organizations are now aligning with some of the SDGs, and they're into their last, I think, 10 years. And we're now starting to see more companies report on their progress towards the UN SDGs as well. And then we've got the EU Non-Financial Reporting Directive, which is really starting to bed in some of the member states in terms of the non-financial reporting that they're doing around the environmental and societal impact their businesses are having. So just a few key sort of legal drivers there, but they all translate into some sort of like the hot topics, if you like, that are really impacting businesses today. And, a couple of examples of those hot topics includes the net zero emissions conversation. A lot of companies now racing to get their net zero strategies in place. Circular economy, which again is very much focused on procurement, on design and on procurement, and not waste, which would be a misconception. So a lot of procurement teams and design teams gearing up for that. A lot of conversations taking place around social impact and how we monitor that and the societal impact of these public sector contracts as well. And really just about companies becoming more transparent and having stronger governance in place to really build that client confidence and staff confidence and supply chain confidence as well. So there are quite a few hot topics at the minute that again, a lot of companies are having to report on. So again, all of this stuff has been around for a while. It's not new. We've had them in these contracts for quite a few years, and we're well used to reporting on our waste management performance. We're well used to the EPA dropping by to carry out maybe a site audit and ask for the documentation to demonstrate compliance, but it's just evolving more, and there's just more and more reporting requirements being placed on suppliers working within that public procurement sort of space. So greenhouse gas emissions obviously continuing to evolve, even with regard to the social impact and then the economic impact, reporting back on the different types of products and materials that we're using. Are they sustainable? Are they responsible? In terms of our supply chain, who's got third-party accreditations? Who's considered a responsible supplier? All of this is basically meaning that more and more people within organizations need to report on sustainability or ESG related performance, and more people within organizations need access to that information. So be it compliance teams, project teams, we've got the bid and estimating departments all needing access to showcase their performance for future bids, marketing, PR, and HR departments as well. So more and more people now need access to that information to do their jobs properly. And that information is going to regulators, it's going to clients, it's going into the public domain. So it needs to be accurate, it needs to be reliable, and you need to be able to stand over it. And the whole reporting piece now is becoming critical to organizations. So a lot of work to do there. We're a lot of us are at different stages of the journey, but we're all relatively at the start of that journey in terms of how we're going to use this data to really improve performance. But there is a huge amount of benefits to organizations that embrace ESG, embrace sustainability, make it very much part of their culture, their business strategy. And some of those examples include how certainly a number of our customers are using that whole sustainability piece to improve their top line. You know, they're starting to build client confidence. They're showing their clients that they've got this ESG performance, you know, they've got the processes, the robust processes in place to report, and that's building that client confidence. Demonstrating compliance with legislation and industry contract requirements, again within construction, that might be LEED, might be BREEAM, and so on. It'll help you increase competitiveness within the PQQs and tenders. You know, up to around an average weighting of 20% in the quality submission of a bid can often be sustainability related. So when you get down to price, it's all that other stuff that matters. And you know, sustainability performance is something you could showcase to really, you know, improve your bid and your competitiveness. More recently, we're seeing the banking sector include sustainability on loan applications. So again, companies that need access to finance, to scale, they need to demonstrate their sustainability credentials. And I mentioned the need to attract and retain, but also motivate current staff, and ultimately start to build and maintain a positive brand image. But the data must be there to back it up, because I think there's a famous quote, 20 years to build a brand, 5 minutes to lose it. And with the, you know, the growing concern around greenwashing and so on, companies that are being called out need to be able to fall back on their data to prove that they are doing what they say they are doing. There's also opportunities to obviously improve your bottom line as well. So as you focus in on ESG, as you become more aware of your processes, you start to know how much waste you're producing, how much, you know, you understand your greenhouse gas emissions, and all of that. There's a real opportunity then to drive efficiency across processes. That's going to lead to cost savings. There's also using tech solutions such as SustainIQ, but it has been proven now that you can save up to 1/3 of resource requirements usually required to report on sustainability performance. So huge amount of opportunity there to embrace tech to then save costs through staff and resources and so on, and ultimately reduce the risk. I mentioned greenwashing is a risk, non-compliance is a risk, and that can lead to a damage to reputation, headlines in the paper, all of that type of stuff. So if you've got a really good, robust procedures in place and you understand the impact your company is having on the environment, on the society, you ultimately reduce risk, which is ultimately a good thing for business. And I think a lot of companies now are seeing ESG as an opportunity to innovate. You know, we need to start looking at new and improved ways of working. We need to start asking ourselves some really difficult questions about the direction of travel for the industry with regards sustainability, and how can we do things better? What does a net zero construction site look like? How is that going to impact our business? What do we need to do to prepare for it? So lots of opportunities there to really sort of improve performance going forward. But I suppose, look here at SustainIQ, we're all about the data. We're all about making sure that you've got that information in-house to use that intelligence to drive your business forward. And we want to encourage more organizations to take a more data-focused approach to sustainability, to ESG, and ultimately to their business. But to do that, you need the data, you need to capture it first. And once you start getting that information coming in, it just provides you with opportunities to sit down, to really interrogate the information, look at it, understand your performance, set baselines so that any investments that you make going forward, you can measure them. Are they worth it? Are they having the desired impact? If not, move on quickly to the next thing. There's no point wasting time or wasting money on something that's not having the desired effect. So you need that information to provide those baselines, and that will allow you to then benchmark performance going forward throughout the coming years. Setting targets and objectives, be them science-based around emissions or whatever. And then also it allows you to set reporting metrics and agreeing what those reporting metrics look like within your organization. Some of the public sector contracts do specify what reporting metrics you need to report on, but you need to bring those in-house and look at maybe per 100 million euro turnover footprint of building, whatever that might be. There's lots of metrics there that you can use to really normalize your performance and measure impact going forward. I mentioned just the big thing for us has been able to really drill down into the information and really understand how much waste you're producing, why you're producing it, what main waste materials you're producing. That can all be fed back up into the design process. into the procurement process, and to improve performance. Understanding your greenhouse gas emissions, understanding your scope 1, 2, and 3. You know, where are you producing emissions? Why are you producing them? How much are you producing? Have you got direct influence over them? All of these things will inform your net zero strategy and allow you to make these better investments and maximize the impact that you're going to have, and ultimately become net zero faster. But you need that transparency of performance. You need the data to really understand that and to really inform that strategy going forward. And ultimately what we do, and what we always set out to do, was just provide transparency of performance, so companies understand what they're doing really well, but actually what they need to do better, and break it down so that it's not overwhelming, that it's very manageable, and they can move forward then quite quickly, and ultimately use that data to then inform the business. So look, if you haven't started yet with ESG reporting, all I can say, if there's one thing you take away from this today, it's just please get started. Make a start, no matter how small, just make a start. It is very much the direction of travel within the industry. You're going to need that data to really demonstrate your performance going forward. So produce an ESG strategy or a sustainability strategy, include your net zero strategy within that. And include as many people in your organization as you can. I've already touched on some of the roles and some of the departments that already need access to that information. Bring them into the fold and make sure that you get buy-in and everyone understands their role within the ESG reporting piece, and that you understand what everyone needs to get out of it as well in terms of reporting, so that they get access to that information when they need it. But you need to get that buy-in, you need to engage and get as many people involved as possible. What I would say from my own experience is do look out there and see what tech solutions are available. We're one of those solutions, but there are others. And just look out there onto the market and understand how tech and bringing that tech and investing in that tech could actually help you significantly move quite quickly in this space. And then ultimately, the data that you're capturing, make sure you use that, understand it, and make sure you're using it to improve performance. Don't let it just sit there. You know, it's important that the intelligence that you've now got is being used within your business to make more informed strategic decisions, become more data driven. So folks, that's a bit of an overview of kind of where we are and the direction of travel in terms of where we're going next. But today we really wanted to bring along one of our customers and to really show you a real life example, if you like, of how they are embracing ESG reporting, how they're implementing it within their own company on their construction projects, and how they're managing to do that, and how they're getting on. So I'm delighted to introduce you to Aisling Sloan. Aisling is the IMS coordinator with Felix O'Hare, construction contractor, and she's going to take you through their approach to ESG reporting at their St. Paul's National School over in Navan. So Aisling, over to you. Welcome. Thank you for coming along.
Thank you very much, Liam, for inviting us along today and showing how we demonstrate how we use SustainIQ on one of our projects, St. Paul's National School in Navan. I just want to give everybody a wee quick overview. Felix O'Hare and Company. We are building contractors based in Newry, County Down, and we founded over 100 years, do a range of projects over construction projects, over education, healthcare, retail, commercial, design and build. We have our own in-house joinery workshop, which we bespoke our carpentry for all our projects. We 2 years ago came aboard with SustainIQ, and to this point it's been transformational. And basically on St. Paul's we started the project, and the project is the redevelopment of an existing school and construction of a new 32 classroom 2-story school on an existing football pitch. The building was 2-story construction, structural steel, reinforced concrete. The main build handed over there in July, and the remainder of the works now completed at the end of this end of this month. Sorry. Again, we work primarily in the Republic of Ireland and in Northern Ireland. We use SustainIQ to monitor and measure how we report on our ESG performance. I'm just going to take you through a few specific stats on this project. Supply chain procurement. Again, Significant socio-economic impact through procurement. 36% of our contractors were all located within a 50 kilometre of the site. 72% of the suppliers of the products and materials located within, again, a 50 kilometre of the site. Greenhouse gas, the GHG emissions tracked throughout the project. Scope 1, Scope 2, Scope 3 emissions. Again, all measured for diesel, electricity, supply chain transport emissions. Again, this has been to actually have this real-time data and actually have it physically to hand now. As you can see, it's very evident there, and we have that breakdown in percentages of our emissions from site deliveries, subcontractors traveling to site, and then again from our waste contractors as well. And the third element, site waste management. Again, monthly reporting on our site waste, spoil excavations, reused on-site segregation for recycling, and obviously diverting as much as possible from landfill, and again, maximising how much that we were able to recycle. We use SustainIQ reporting from the real-time data gathered at site. We use this to report to contracts teams on monthly progress meetings. Again, IMS compliance. We have an integrated management system for environmental, ISO 14001, 45001 health and safety, and 9001 for quality. Again, consider constructors would be a big element, and BREEAM contractually as for the company. So again, this information to hand and performance can be monitored throughout from day dot. Again, satisfying regulators, EPA visits. Again, documentation demonstrating our compliance, number one, and obviously that we're doing what we should be doing. So again, estimating and bid department, project performance stats, again fed back in to our procurement for future PQQs and tenders, for lessons learned and obviously for winning new business. PR marketing, again, obviously informing obviously the site where obviously the information is first and foremost gathered of actually the information that they're reporting, where it goes to, and what comes out as performance stats at the end, and how we can continually improve where we're at in terms of our company goals on sustainability. And again, we're continuing to invest in our ESG to increase our transparency and improve our company performance, because sustainability is at the forefront of the business. And again, as Liam said, in the Republic of Ireland and in Northern Ireland, the net zero goals, they're coming, and they're coming quite fast. So
Aisling, thank you so much. That's brilliant. Really appreciate that update on the project. And I know we've got some questions. We'll pick them up at the end. But just from what you sort of ran through there now, it's incredible, and those are very impressive stats as well at St. Paul's. I mean, we're talking about the Irish government being able to show the societal and environmental impact of every euro spent in public procurement, and you're showing their stats of in 30, 40, 50, 60% of supply chain subcontractor coming within 50 kilometers. That's local people, local jobs. That's a massive local impact you guys are having through procurement in terms of the value of that contract and how much is being spent again locally through your procurement selection. So well done. The stats are incredible, and it's really interesting to hear that. So thank you, Aisling. We'll come back to you again towards the end. Folks, we'll start to wrap up here, because I appreciate we set aside 45 minutes. Aisling had mentioned that Felix O'Hare did come on board with SustainIQ. They are one of our customers that I can say really place ESG and sustainability at the core of their business strategy, and they've really embraced it and sort of rolled it right out across their organization. So we're delighted to have them on board and to see them use the software to really improve performance. I suppose, look, one of the things that we've sort of referred to are these digital solutions out there to help companies really get a handle of their ESG performance. We are one of those solutions. So just briefly want to take you through who we are, what we do, how we could possibly help. So in terms of SustainIQ, the one thing that Maria and myself were adamant about at the beginning was we wanted to build an integrated solution. There's lots of standalone elements out there doing waste management, energy, environmental, there's social impact calculators, all great, but we wanted it in one place. We wanted an integrated solution, and that's what we built. That also presented us with our biggest challenge, because sustainability is huge and it's vast, and it means so many different things to different people. And so we had to really sit down and during those early design meetings really get a handle on how we were going to achieve this. So ultimately what we delivered was a platform that's built across these 4 key customizable pillars. So SustainIQ is built across the responsible procurement pillar, environmental management pillar, people, health and diversity pillar, and the community engagement and partnering pillar. They're customizable because one of the things we realized early on was every company had their own language around sustainability and ESG. So if you go on to Felix or Harris, for example, their pillars are called procurement, people, planet, and place. They're a member of BITC, business in the community, so they use a lot of the language there too. So the whole system is customizable so it can be aligned nicely with your own in-house ESG strategies. Just to give you a flavour of the types of information that we capture across the 4 pillars. Again, Aisling has sort of touched on some of them with her case study. In responsible procurement, we put a big focus into the products and the materials that are being used in terms of have they got certification such as sustainable timber, FSC, PEFC timber, and so on. Certainly our construction companies use it to track recycled aggregates, products made from recycled sources, all of that. It also then has got the socioeconomic impact calculator, which again, Aisling demoed there for St. Paul's National School in Navan. We upload your supply chain and SustainIQ tells you how many suppliers are located within a certain threshold. You set that threshold 30, 40, 50 kilometers radius from your sites, your offices, your factories, and the system tells you how much you're really investing locally. And to be able to feed that back, so to go back to a local authority client or a county council client, for example, with that information to show them how much you're spending locally is quite a powerful piece of information, and they do tend to love it. So we're doing a lot of work in responsible procurement at the minute, and there's an embodied carbon tool currently in trial as well, so we'll keep you posted on that. In the environmental management pillar, we capture all the environmental performance for our customers, so their water usage, waste management, and that captures all the legalities around waste, all of the county council environmental collection permits and so on are all uploaded to the system. It tells you when they're going to expire. So it looks after the compliance, but more importantly, it gives you a huge amount of information that really just gives you huge oversight into your waste management performance. And as I say, real opportunities to drill down, interrogate that, and feed that back into your procurement and your design processes to ultimately reduce waste and reduce costs associated with that as well. We capture all the greenhouse gas emissions for scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. The focus for scope 3 emissions for us at the minute is transport and leased assets, which again, Aisling touched on there. So we can really help you drill down into your greenhouse gas emissions and understand them, and understand, more importantly, how you're going to move forward with your net zero strategy. All the biodiversity conservation, all of the noise, dust and vibration assessments, all of that's then also controlled within that pillar. We then have got the people, health and diversity pillar, which captures all of the apprenticeships, the placements. The system aligns with your health and wellbeing strategy, your safety strategy, your diversity strategy, captures all that information right across your organization. And then the 4th and final pillar there is the community engagement and partnering, and that captures all the community impact initiatives that you're carrying out as an organization, volunteering, charitable donations, examples of responsible leadership, all of that. So you can imagine, by capturing all of that information across an organization, you can imagine in terms of getting a handle on your sustainability performance, our customers have got a pretty good idea where they're performing really well, and also where they maybe need to focus in to improve performance. So in terms of how it works, it's pretty much a system of 2 halves. We've got the input app and we've got the reporting dashboard. We've made it as easy as possible to get the information in. So there's manual entry, obviously, through the mobile app. We've got bulk uploads where we can get thousands of entries uploaded in seconds, and works well for supply chains and so on. And then we've got our automated reporting request, which is really where we can automate as much as possible. So during a scoping exercise with new customers, we identify what software products that you're currently using, and we will then pull information from that into the system. Examples would be tracker systems on vehicles for company vehicles, fleet for scope 1 emissions. We can pull out the the information that we need into SustainIQ so we can help capture all that greenhouse gas emissions piece as well. We also tap into HR systems and finance systems as well, so we can automate there as well. And all of that information then comes into our reporting dashboard, which is really a smart dashboard, and it visualizes performance. And there's loads of filters, so you can drill down into the information. I think Maria, I'm always hearing her saying with SustainIQ, you just keep clicking. So as you click, it keeps drilling down into the data so you can interrogate it and really understand performance. You can then produce customized reports. So a lot of the reporting that Aisling mentioned at St. Paul's, such as site waste management plans, carbon reduction plans, whatever that might be, they're all automated, they're customized. So we produce those and they live in your library, and you get access to them whenever, but it just cuts down on a huge amount of resource requirements because the system automates it and pulls all the information in and gets it ready for it to be issued out to a client or to a contracts manager or whoever it might be. The dashboard then allows you to set your baselines and also benchmark internally across your different sites, your departments, regions, jurisdictions, whatever it might be. But also then you can also benchmark externally against peers as well. So one of the things that we got back, one of the feedback we got back from customers was the reporting's brilliant and it's great and it's just what they need, but it all goes external. It goes to customers, it goes to regulators, and they wanted to know if there was a way we could visualize performance. So ultimately that led to our Infographic Builder. So you can now build infographic reports, and we see our customers now sharing them internally with staff, which is having a massive impact on staff engagement with regards to the ESG strategies. We see them going up in socials and websites and so on. So lots of filters to build different types of infographic reports and just really ultimately visualize your performance. Just a screenshot of some of the customers we're currently working with across the island of Ireland. Big focus on construction and FMCG, but we're also working in transport and logistics and manufacturing as well. And we're on close to 600 sites now across the UK and Ireland. So loads of really good case studies that we are more than happy to share with you. Just so you can see how our customers are using SustainIQ in their own way to really improve transparency of performance across their organizations and feed into their ESG strategies. So again, more than happy to share those with you to sort of show you how the software could benefit your businesses. So that's us, folks. Hopefully within time. Yes, I've got a little bit of time to spare, which is good. So an opportunity for some questions, if any have come in on the chat function, Maria or Gillian. I'll start off actually, just because Aisling, as you were talking there was a few that sort of popped into my mind that I kind of wanted to ask you. One of the big challenges with ESG reporting with sustainability, and one of the big challenges with purchasing a new tech product, is rolling it out across the organization, getting buy-in and getting people to use it. So based on what I see for St. Paul's National, you've achieved that, and I'd just be curious to know how you managed to roll it out and get that buy-in from your different teams across the business.
Well, basically, Liam, obviously when we came on board with yourselves, we obviously piloted SustainIQ on one particular project. SRC in Armagh, large project, good large site team. I only took the site team in and obviously went through the system, how on each pillar that you report, and basically as we have progressed with actually starting to use the system, obviously we had it took a wee while getting to grips with it, but it was very simplified. And as I say, on the phone, on tablets for our guys on site, it's obviously heavily driven with our site gate men, contracts team on site, and basically rolled that again from that one project. And again, it's just progressed across every project now that we have. And again, St. Paul's Navan, again, the team, as we specific training has been on with each of our project teams, and as the guys are using it more and more, they're getting more familiar, and obviously coming back to myself as well, saying, oh, can I do this, can I do that? So it has been perceived very, very well. And again, it is working very well for us.
Well, that's good. And I imagine then it's helped as well, sort of selling the ESG sustainability strategy in-house as well, because you've made it easy for people to report. You made it easy
Exactly.
to get the information out. So it's helped there with that piece as well. That's good.
Yeah.
And then my final question for you, Aisling, is around your waste management stats for St. Paul's were incredible. And again, I'd be interested to know, like, what a company like you, like what types of initiatives do you implement?
At the end of the day, obviously quite at the forefront with even our supply chain, our subcontractors at that pre-appointment stage. We have expectations for subcontractors, suppliers, again, even all of our workforce about what we want to achieve. And obviously, for example, as you say there, the waste with site waste, obviously segregation, obviously minimizing waste where possible, reusing. We got our waste supplier on board. Obviously, helping us to do the maximum where possible, and obviously with the guys on site as well. So again, even on Navan project, there was a lot of the existing building is demolished for the new build, obviously in the pitch. So that demolished material, a lot of that was actually taken off site then by the gravel supplier on the job, and they're crushing that material down for reuse again. So where you're obviously diverting from landfill, and obviously same with the client as well. Just for example, like mobile classrooms, we refurb them and all on site again, and pass them back obviously to the school for further reuse. And obviously again, just for example with the pitches there, even the equipment, like goalposts and stuff like that, they were all recycled to a local football club in the area. So again, we try to have that maximum input where we're working at, and for across social, environmental and economically. So that's just a few examples there.
Well, that's great. I mean, a huge amount of planning going in there at the start, because you obviously see the benefits then, as the job progresses, but to have then the visibility of that performance in terms of volumes and so on, to be able to actually report back is incredible. No, so well done. Is there any other questions, folks?
There was one in from Gina Gibbons there, which was just wondering, have you used this on civil or road contracts, and if so, how has it been received?
Yeah, Tim, we have actually, we work across a number of different sectors, and a number of our customers would have civils operations as well as construction and fit out and so on as well. So very similar challenges in terms of reporting on ESG, and it's been implemented in very similar ways, if you like, to the construction side. Obviously, it's slightly different in certainly in terms of building the roads and so on. But we've again, I can maybe provide a case study of one of our customers to sort of showcase the civil side of it. But it has been very, very successful in getting that information captured in real time and reported back ultimately to the project team and everyone else in the office that maybe needs access to that information.
And I just had one question before we wrap up for Aisling. Look, the whole focus of today's webinar was around green procurement and what that looks like on the island of Ireland. And because you guys at Felix, I heard you so much in the public procurement space through healthcare and education, would you say that you would be able to keep up with competitors, or would you be able to even be in line for those tenders if you hadn't got up to speed with your ESG reporting and had that reporting on hand, I guess?
Well, basically, like with the click of a button now, we have that information that is being captured at us now. If we hadn't had that accessibility, it would be a longer process and a difficult process. But now we have this data, this performance data, to continually drive and obviously put our environmental and our ESG commitments and initiatives going forward to actually set targets to minimize those, i.e. the scope 1, scope 2 and scope 3 emissions, which we would not have had, you know what I mean? So it is, and reporting that back as well to at board meetings, and again, putting obviously objectives going forward for our sustainability goals, you know, that's at the forefront and will be, because it's massive, you know, massive for our contracts and for winning future work as well, you know.
Okay, that's great. Well, look, guys, if there's any more questions after the webinar, send them through to us. We're more than happy to answer. As I say, the day was about the green public procurement process and how that's impacting on ESG reporting in Ireland. And I sort of said this at the start, so I'll say it again. If there's anything that you take away from this today, it's the importance of data. It's the importance of the performance. And if you haven't made a start, it's just now's the time to make a start. The next 10 years is going to be very data focused with regard to sustainability. And it's important to make a start now to start capturing that information. So that's my one piece of advice from today. Hopefully you all find this worthwhile. Again, if you want to learn more about us, how we can maybe help, and while we appreciate we cannot help everyone, we are working very heavily in certain sectors, and we've got a lot of case studies that we can certainly share and show you how some of our customers are implementing the software across their organization. So happy to chat, and that's our email address there. Also give us a follow on the socials as well, and keep up to date with what we're at. But if that's everything, folks, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you coming along today. Yeah, you know where we are if you need any other information. Okay.
Thanks again, Liam, for inviting ourselves along today as well. And again, if anybody has any further questions, contact myself, Felix O'Hare. All right.
Aisling, thank you for coming along. Really appreciate your input today. Thanks so much. Okay. Cheers, folks. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.